It's been a hot topic of debate whether modern SpongeBob is better or worse than classic SpongeBob. Classic SpongeBob aired from 1999 to 2004, while modern SpongeBob ran from 2009 to the present. In this video, we're going to look at which version of the show is actually better by looking at how each one handles humor, character development, animation style, storylines, and then seeing which version wins more categories. This is classic SpongeBob versus modern SpongeBob. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Let's get started with character consistency, something that really shows us the difference between early and modern SpongeBob. Classic SpongeBob had this incredible emotional depth that made him feel like a real person, despite being a cartoon sponge. In Band Geeks, for example, when he sees Squidward's devastation, classic SpongeBob thinks about the situation carefully. He considers what Squidward means to him and responds with surprising maturity. The line about Squidward being there when it was convenient for him is perfect, because it's both honest and caring. Classic SpongeBob understood people's flaws, but chose to focus on their good qualities. His happiness felt real and genuine, coming from a place of true care for those around him. Now, contrast that with the Splinter, where modern SpongeBob is completely different. His reaction to a tiny splinter is so over the top and disconnected from any real feeling that it feels insulting to the original character. The screaming, the weird imagery, and the extreme panic, none of it comes from a place of genuine emotion. It's just chaos for the sake of humor. Modern SpongeBob has completely lost his problem-solving skills and emotional smarts. Classic SpongeBob would have handled even a splinter with his usual optimism and determination. Instead, modern SpongeBob bounces between extreme emotional reactions without any logical flow. He feels like a character who is just reacting to whatever is happening, instead of thoughtfully responding like the classic SpongeBob we know. But the problem extends far beyond just the main character. Classic Patrick was genuinely lovable despite his laziness and simple nature. He had this underlying sweetness and loyalty that made his friendship with classic SpongeBob feel real and meaningful. Modern Patrick has become actively mean and harmful, often seeming to enjoy causing problems or hurting others. Classic Squidward was relatable in his grumpiness. We all have that coworker who finds us annoying, but there was still humanity underneath his irritation. He had moments of genuine care for classic SpongeBob. Modern Squidward has become this bitter, nasty character who seems to exist only to suffer or to make others suffer. Mr. Krabs changed from a flawed but understandable businessman into a one-dimensional greed monster. Classic Mr. Krabs was cheap and money-focused, sure, but he still showed genuine care for classic SpongeBob and had moments of generosity. Modern Mr. Krabs would literally sell his own mother for a nickel. Even Sandy lost her scientific curiosity and problem-solving nature, becoming just the character from Texas who occasionally shows up to do karate. Mrs. Puff went from being a reasonable driving instructor, dealing with an impossible student, to someone who actively dreams about harming modern SpongeBob. The tragedy is that all these characters used to feel like real people with complex reasons and relationships. Now, they're just walking collections of their most extreme traits, bouncing off each other in increasingly cartoonish ways without any of the heart that made their interactions meaningful in the first place. Classic SpongeBob absolutely dominates in this category. Early SpongeBob was a fully realized character, while modern SpongeBob feels like random reactions between commercials. As SpongeBob changed, the humor did too. Now let's examine the humor evolution. And honestly, this might be the most frustrating change of all. Here's something that really gets under my skin about modern SpongeBob. They completely threw away what made the humor special in the first place. Classic SpongeBob had this perfect recipe of clever writing, subtle wordplay, and genuinely heartfelt moments that made you laugh and feel something. Now, it's just loud noises and random stuff happening. Let me show you what I mean with Dying for Pie from Season 2. This episode is comedy gold because it works on multiple levels. You've got Squidward accidentally buying an explosive pie from pirates, thinking SpongeBob ate it, and spending the whole day trying to make SpongeBob's last hours meaningful. The humor comes from the dramatic irony. We know SpongeBob never actually ate the pie, but watching Squidward's guilt drive him to actually care about SpongeBob is both hilarious and touching. The jokes in this episode are smart. When SpongeBob makes Squidward a sweater out of his own eyelashes, it's gross but endearing. When he makes another one out of his tears, it's absurd but still grounded in SpongeBob's genuine love for his friend. The comedy builds naturally from the characters and their relationships. Even the slapstick, like Mr. Krabs getting blown up by a tiny crumb, serves the story and feels earned. Now compare that to Patathon from The Patrick Star Show. This episode is basically disconnected segments loosely tied together by a telethon premise. You've got Patrick hosting a fundraiser for snails who can't dance, which sounds promising, but then it just devolves into random bits. There's a Frankenstein parody with Dr. Plankenstein that has nothing to do with anything. Sandy keeps barging in with increasingly ridiculous inventions that don't work. Grand Pat does some over-the-top stunt that makes no sense. The humor in Patathon relies entirely on being weird for the sake of being weird. There's just random visual gags and loud sound effects. It's like they thought kids like crazy stuff, and completely forgot that the original show worked because it had heart underneath all the silliness. Classic SpongeBob understood that the best comedy comes from character. SpongeBob's optimism was the engine that drove most of the show's funniest moments. His innocent misunderstandings, his earnest attempts to help people, his childlike wonder at the world, these traits created natural comedy situations that felt authentic. Modern SpongeBob seems to think louder equals funnier. Instead of SpongeBob's sweet naivety causing gentle chaos, now he's just screaming and doing random things. The subtlety is gone. The wordplay is gone. The clever visual gags that adults could appreciate alongside kids, also gone. Classic SpongeBob takes this one easily. The difference between smart comedy and random noise is impossible to ignore, as the humor went from clever character moments to random chaos. The storytelling moved from simple, effective plots to disconnected, pointless gags. Now let's look at which was actually better at storytelling. Classic SpongeBob understood something crucial. The best plots come from character. Take Graveyard Shift from Season 2. The entire episode springs from one simple premise: SpongeBob and Squidward working the night shift at the Krusty Krab. That's it. Just two characters we know and love, thrown into a slightly unusual situation. What makes Graveyard Shift brilliant is how it builds tension through character dynamics. Squidward, annoyed and looking for entertainment, tells SpongeBob a scary story about hash-slinging slasher. The horror comes from SpongeBob's genuine fear and Squidward's growing realization that his made-up story might be coming true. Every plot point serves the characters: SpongeBob's innocence, Squidward's cynicism turning to terror, and their reluctant bond when facing danger together. The episode has structure. It builds suspense methodically through the three signs: flickering lights, silent phone calls, and the mysterious bus. When the slasher finally arrives, the reveal that he's just a nervous job applicant is both funny and satisfying because it resolves the tension in a way that makes sense. And Nosferatu flickering the lights? Pure genius. A visual gag that doesn't overshadow the main story. Now compare that to SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout from Season 12. This 44-minute special throws everything at the wall: live-action sequences, celebrity cameos, surface world adventures, elaborate party planning subplot, and Patchy the Pirate traveling across the country. It's about 6 different stories crammed together with no emotional through line. The problem is that none of these elaborate setups serve the characters. SpongeBob goes to the surface world, but we don't learn anything new about him. The party planning creates chaos, but it doesn't reveal anything meaningful about his relationships. The celebrity birthday wishes are just there. They exist because someone thought they'd be fun, not because they advance any kind of narrative. Modern SpongeBob seems to think that more equals better. More locations, more characters, more chaos, more randomness. But storytelling is about making every element count. Classic episodes felt intimate and focused. Modern episodes feel scattered and exhausting. What really bothers me is how classic SpongeBob trusted its audience to care about small moments. SpongeBob being afraid of the dark was enough for an entire episode because the writers understood that relatability creates investment. Modern SpongeBob seems to assume viewers need constant stimulation, so it throws increasingly bizarre scenarios at us. The shift represents a fundamental misunderstanding of what made SpongeBob special. It was the genuine heart underneath all the silliness. When storytelling becomes just an excuse to string together random gags and celebrity appearances, you lose that emotional core. Classic SpongeBob focused on exploring what a situation could teach the character. Modern SpongeBob, however, is more about creating the weirdest scenarios possible. That change really shows everything that's gone wrong with the show's direction. Classic SpongeBob wins this round without question. The storytelling gap between focused, character-driven narratives and chaotic spectacle is massive. Classic SpongeBob focused on character-driven stories, while modern SpongeBob's chaos is balanced by sharper, more creative animation animation. Now let's talk about animation style. I know this sounds crazy, but I think modern SpongeBob's digital animation is actually better than the classic hand-drawn style, and here's why. Digital animation gave creators new ways to make jokes that the early seasons could never do. Let's talk about House Fancy from Season 6. Yes, it looks clean and polished, but that control helps the comedy in ways hand-drawn animation just couldn't. When Squidward's house gets destroyed by the vacuum, the joke works because of that digital control. The animators can show each piece of furniture getting sucked up in perfect detail, making a satisfying visual that builds the comedy. Hand-drawn animation would have made this scene feel messy and hard to follow, completely ruining the humor. The clean look that critics complain about is actually artistic control. Modern SpongeBob can make exactly the visual the creators want, rather than hoping a hand-drawn frame looks right. This means when they do push limits, like in episodes such as Face Freeze or The Splinter, they can create truly weird, impossible faces that would be nearly impossible to draw the same way every time with traditional animation. Take the gross toenail scene from House Fancy. Love it or hate it, that level of detailed grossness needs digital control. The animators can control every part of the visual to make the biggest impact. Classic SpongeBob's rough edges would have actually made moments like these softer and less effective. Modern digital techniques also allow for better visual storytelling. Episodes can use complex camera moves, detailed backgrounds, and layered visual effects that help tell the story. When SpongeBob's imagination runs wild in modern episodes, the animation can actually show us impossible things with clarity that makes the weird stuff feel even weirder. The happy accidents that classic animation fans love weren't always good. Sometimes they were just problems. When an animator's hand slipped or a frame came out wobbly, that was just the reality of the medium. Modern animation gets rid of those technical problems, letting artists be more careful about when and how they break the rules. What critics call committee-designed animation is actually the result of having better tools and more control. Modern SpongeBob can keep visual consistency while still pushing creative limits. The characters still move with cartoon physics, expressions are still wildly exaggerated, and the humor is still visual. It's just done with more precision. The irony is that digital animation has actually made SpongeBob more cartoonish, not less. Modern episodes can stretch faces further, bend bodies in more impossible ways, and create visual gags that would be too expensive or technically impossible with hand-drawn methods. The animation now serves the comedy better because it can make any visual idea the writers dream up. Classic SpongeBob was limited by what human hands could draw in the time and budget constraints of TV production. Modern SpongeBob is limited only by imagination. Which sounds more creative to you? The shift to digital was about giving artists the tools to tell better visual stories. Modern SpongeBob's animation doesn't just look different, it works differently, serving the comedy with precision that classic animation, for all its charm, simply couldn't match. Sometimes the best art comes from having the right tools for the job, not from accepting problems as features. Modern SpongeBob comes out ahead here. The technical capabilities alone make it the clear winner for pure animation quality. As the animation became cleaner and more perfect, the emotional tone changed too, losing the warmth and real feelings that made the old episodes special. But before we continue the video, make sure you're subscribed to our channel, and now let's get back to where we left off. Now let's discuss the emotional depth, and this is where the loss really stings. You know what really hits me when I watch old episodes? There's this emotional warmth that wraps around you like a comfortable blanket. Classic SpongeBob had genuine heart. The show understood that beneath all the silly jokes, there was something deeper. Friendship, optimism, and believing in yourself when the world thinks you're crazy. Take the sponge who could fly from season 3. Classic SpongeBob wants to fly with the jellyfish, and yeah, it sounds ridiculous. But watch how the episode treats his dream, with respect, sincerity, and genuine emotional weight. When townspeople mock him as the Birdman of Bikini Bottom, you actually feel bad for classic SpongeBob. His pain is real, and when he finally achieves his dream through friendship with the jellyfish, it's genuinely moving. That moment when the jellyfish lift classic SpongeBob up, pure magic. It's corny, but it works because the emotional foundation is solid. Classic episodes trusted its audience to care about these characters as real beings with real feeling. But somewhere along the way, something changed, like the Krabby Patty that ate Bikini Bottom from season 8. On paper, it could explore consequences and responsibility. Mr. Krabs' greed literally creates a monster threatening everyone, but instead of exploring the emotional weight, the episode treats it like a B-movie parody. When modern SpongeBob absorbs the giant patty to save everyone, it should be heroic and meaningful. Instead, it feels like just another weird thing happening in an episode full of weird things. Characters react to this massive crisis with the same energy they'd use discussing lunch. Mr. Krabs, who used to be greedy but recognizably human, becomes a cartoon villain whose only motivation is money. There's no emotional complexity, no moments where you see the person beneath the caricature. Classic Mr. Krabs was greedy, but you could still understand him. What's telling is how the shows handle emotional beats differently. Classic episodes let moments breathe. When classic SpongeBob felt sad or disappointed, the show acknowledged those feelings and gave them space. Humor came from character interactions, not from undercutting every serious moment with random gags. Modern episodes seem almost afraid of genuine emotion. Whenever something heartfelt threatens to emerge, it's quickly buried under absurdist humor or exaggerated reactions. It's like the show doesn't trust audiences will stick around for the quiet, sincere moments that made early seasons special. Here's what bothers me. Classic episodes proved you could be both funny and emotionally genuine. You didn't have to choose between heart and humor. The best episodes had both in perfect balance. The Sponge Who Could Fly is hilarious precisely because it takes classic SpongeBob's dream seriously. Classic SpongeBob absolutely destroys modern SpongeBob in this category. The emotional gap is so wide, it's almost unfair to compare them. As the show lost its emotional depth, it started to become more creative in its own way. The next section we have is creativity, and I think people are being way too harsh on modern SpongeBob's creativity. Sure, it's different from the classic episodes, but that doesn't mean it's worse. Modern episodes face a challenge that classic episodes never had. How do you stay creative when you've already done everything? Think about Squid's visit from season 6. Critics say it's predictable because modern SpongeBob wants Squidward to visit his house, so he recreates Squidward's entire house inside his own pineapple. But wait, isn't that actually incredibly creative? The idea of building someone else's house inside your house just to get them to visit is completely insane and brilliant at the same time. Those 492 self-portraits are a perfect example of how modern episodes find new ways to push boundaries. Classic episodes never would have gone that far, but modern episodes aren't afraid to explore stranger territory. Here's what people miss. After 20 plus years, coming up with totally new ideas is nearly impossible. The real creativity is in finding fresh ways to twist familiar concepts. When modern episodes take something we've seen before and push it further than expected, that takes skill. Take episodes like My Leg. This follows background character Fred through multiple episodes, giving him a full story arc. That's a creative way of exploring the show's universe in new and unexpected ways. Modern episodes also aren't afraid to get really experimental in ways classic episodes avoided. Episodes like Squidward in Clarinet Land or SpongeBob in Random Land dive into surreal territory. These episodes show the creators are still willing to take big creative risks. The escalation instead of innovation criticism misses the point. Sometimes making things bigger, louder, or more extreme is the innovation. When you've already done the quiet, subtle version of a joke, the creative challenge becomes, how far can we push this before it breaks? Yes, some modern episodes play it safe and stick to proven formulas, but even the safe episodes often include creative touches that show the writers are still thinking outside the box. The real question is whether it's creative in ways that work for today's audience. Maybe kids today want different kinds of surprises than kids from 20 years ago. Modern episodes' creativity might not feel revolutionary anymore, but it doesn't need to be. The show already changed cartoon comedy forever. Now the creativity is in finding ways to keep that magic alive while still surprising people who think they know everything the show has to offer. Modern SpongeBob actually pulls ahead in this section. The creative challenges of staying fresh after decades give it a surprising edge. Now let's talk about SpongeBob's cultural impact. Classic SpongeBob's cultural dominance is undeniable. Those first 3 seasons created a shared language. The jokes were smart but silly, and somehow managed to appeal to both kids and adults without talking down to either group. Think about all the stuff from those early seasons that's still everywhere today. Is mayonnaise an instrument? I'm ready. The Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for you and me. These became part of how we talk. The mocking SpongeBob meme, Sweet Victory from Band Geek's The Chocolate Lady. That stuff is basically internet history now. What made classic SpongeBob so culturally powerful was that it didn't talk down to anyone. Kids could laugh at SpongeBob being goofy, but adults could appreciate Squidward's existential crisis or Patrick's accidentally profound stupidity. Episodes like Chocolate with Nuts or The Hash-Slinging Slasher were genuinely funny, no matter how old you were. This cross-generational appeal is what made it a true cultural phenomenon. But then something changed around season 4. Modern SpongeBob started feeling different culturally. The humor got more slapstick, more in your face. While kids today still love it, modern SpongeBob doesn't have that same cultural grip. Don't get me wrong, modern SpongeBob isn't terrible. The animation got way better, the episodes are more elaborate, and kids today still love it. But it doesn't have that same cultural grip. When's the last time you saw a meme from a recent SpongeBob episode blow up the way old ones still do? Here's the real difference. Classic SpongeBob created moments that everyone remembers, regardless of when they watched it. Modern SpongeBob makes content that's popular with its current audience but doesn't stick around. It's like the difference between a song that becomes a classic and one that's just a hit for a few months. This isn't just a SpongeBob thing either. Look at The Simpsons. Everyone agrees the early seasons were better. But SpongeBob was different because it became part of internet culture before internet culture was even really a thing. Those early episodes were creating memes before we knew what memes were. The crazy part is how well classic SpongeBob holds up. I can watch Band Geeks right now and it's still hilarious. When the Super Bowl teased Sweet Victory a few years ago, the entire internet went nuts. That's the power of those first 3 seasons. Modern SpongeBob is fine. It's decent TV that happens to have familiar characters. But classic SpongeBob was something else entirely. It was this perfect mix of weird humor, good writing, and perfect timing that somehow captured what it felt like to be a kid while being smart enough for adults. The Yellow Sponge's real legacy is that those first 3 seasons created a shared language that an entire generation still uses. Classic SpongeBob wins this no questions asked. But what do you think? Has modern SpongeBob managed to create the same cultural impact as the classic era? Or do you think those first 3 seasons will always be the true cultural touchstone? Let me know in the comments. The cultural impact of SpongeBob's early years created a shared language across generations. But as the show evolved, its appeal to different age groups became less consistent. The next category we have is audience appeal, and this one is very interesting because this reveals something fascinating about how the show has evolved. Classic SpongeBob appealed to both kids and adults, whilst modern SpongeBob has become way too childish. Ripped Pants from season 1 shows what made early episodes special. On the surface, it's about classic SpongeBob ripping his pants and getting laughs. Kids love the silly comedy, but older viewers get something deeper. We've all found something that gets us attention, then overdone it until everyone gets tired of us. The episode deals with real themes like feeling insecure and wanting to fit in. When classic SpongeBob fakes drowning just to make another ripped pants joke, it shows someone making bad choices to stay popular. The final song, where classic SpongeBob thinks about losing friends by being the fool who ripped his pants, actually hits hard. Adults see their own mistakes in classic SpongeBob's story, while kids just enjoy the catchy song. This layered approach was classic episode's secret weapon. The show trusted that kids could handle stories with real feelings, while adults could enjoy the smart character work underneath. Classic episodes found humor and heart that worked for everyone. Compare that to Patrick's Staycation from season 8. Patrick takes a vacation at home with modern SpongeBob playing different hotel workers. It's creative and funny, but notice how different the humor is. Where classic episodes built comedy through character relationships and real emotions, modern episodes rely on crazy situations and visual gags. Patrick's demands get more ridiculous, modern SpongeBob's costume changes get more elaborate, and the situations feel less connected to anything we might actually experience. The modern approach focuses on surprising viewers with unexpected visual comedy and quick gags. Kids probably love the energy, but for older viewers who connected with the emotional honesty of early seasons, something feels missing. Has the show evolved to better serve kids, or lost something important? Modern episodes often feel designed for short attention spans and quick laughs, perfect for YouTube clips, but maybe less satisfying as complete stories. This shift might reflect bigger changes in kids' entertainment. Maybe today's kids prefer faster pacing and more visual excitement. Maybe the multi-age viewing experience that defined classic episodes was always temporary. But classic episodes proved something important. You don't have to choose between entertaining children and creating good storytelling. The best episodes treated young viewers with respect, offering real emotions wrapped in colorful, fun packaging. Modern episodes still have moments that capture that magic, but they feel less consistent. The show seems less confident that children can handle emotional depth, choosing safer, surface-level humor instead. Maybe this change was inevitable. Maybe expecting a cartoon to keep cross-age appeal for over 20 years is unrealistic. But classic episodes set such a high bar that anything less feels like a step back. Classic SpongeBob dominates this comparison. The multi-generational appeal it achieved is something modern episodes rarely even attempt to match. Classic SpongeBob mixed emotions and creativity with surprise, but modern episodes often repeat the same old ideas, making the show feel less fresh and varied. Finally, let's talk about episode variation. One of the best things about classic episodes was how you never knew what kind of episode you'd get. Turn on the TV and you might find classic SpongeBob and Patrick camping, selling chocolate, or helping Squidward have a good day. Each episode felt like opening a surprise gift. You knew it would be fun, but the story was always different. Jellyfishing from Season 1 shows this perfectly. It's just classic SpongeBob and Patrick going jellyfishing and trying to include Squidward, but watch how many different things happen. Friendship moments, funny accidents, adventure, and payback at the end. The episode starts simple, becomes instructional, turns into action, and ends with justice. Classic episodes felt like mini-movies with their own personalities. Some were quiet character stories, others were high-energy adventures. The show constantly switched between small moments and big spectacles. This variety kept viewers interested because we really didn't know what to expect. Early seasons weren't afraid to try new things. Some episodes stayed in one place, others were road trips. This willingness to experiment made every episode feel fresh, even when using familiar characters. Compare this to The Krusty Slammer from Season 12. While entertaining, it follows a predictable pattern. Someone gets in trouble, the Krusty Krab gets changed, chaos happens, things go back to normal with a twist. It's the same basic structure we've seen when the restaurant becomes other things: a hotel, stadium, theater, and now a prison. Modern episodes often feel like the show has favorite formulas that get repeated with small changes. Many episodes now use familiar scenarios. Modern SpongeBob annoys Squidward, Patrick misunderstands something obvious, Mr. Krabs gets greedy, or the Krusty Krab faces some crisis. When these become the main source of conflict, the show feels predictable. The locations have become more limited too. Where classic episodes might take us anywhere from Sandy's home to mysterious underwater cities, modern episodes often stick to the same Bikini Bottom spots we already know. The sense of discovery has mostly disappeared. This shift toward formula isn't surprising. After 20+ years, any show would struggle to stay fresh. Writers naturally use what works, and audiences often prefer familiar comfort over constant surprises. But something valuable has been lost. Classic episodes proved that kids' shows can be really creative and still easy to follow. Each episode felt fresh, like the creators were trying new ideas instead of just repeating what worked before. This made every episode feel special. Modern episodes sometimes bring back that classic variety, and when they do, they remind us why the show became so popular. But too often, they feel like variations on familiar themes rather than genuine surprises. Maybe the real question is whether we're asking too much from a show that's already given us so many different kinds of fun. Perhaps the formula exists because it works. Classic SpongeBob wins easily here. The variety just isn't close. Classic SpongeBob scored a solid 7 points, while modern SpongeBob only gets 2 points, which shows us that classic SpongeBob is better than modern SpongeBob. But do you agree with me, or do you think modern SpongeBob has its own strengths? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one.